Good morning, everyone. Today we will be answering a viewer question about German ley lines. Mit Diamond and Helmen. Now I'm half German, so I was kind of hoping someone would ask about the German ley lines. So today we'll take a look. We'll give a brief summary about how these ley line maps work, how mine works, and we'll take a look at the German ones. Here's just a quick glance of what we'll be getting at, but let's get a little bit of a summary about how my ley line map works. Right, so if anyone have heard of ley line maps before, this is probably all review, but for anyone who hasn't, it's basically lines of energy that cross the Earth in different locations, and there's lots of different theories on where these lines are placed and which ones are correct, which ones aren't. So to summarize where I got mine from, let's move all the lines off the map and show how it began. Alright, so we got ancient ones. What there is there's a great documentary called Revelations of the Pyramids. If anyone hasn't seen that, highly recommend it. I just ordered the DVD from, the UK. Couldn't find a new copy, got a used one. Hopefully it'll arrive soon. But anyways, I watched it on YouTube and I was like, holy shit, what an amazing documentary. So anyways, what that documentary talks about is one specific line, and I'll put it on the screen here. And this is one that starts at Easter Island. And here, let's just type in Easter Island, get there quicker. Easter Island, Chile. No, it's a little bit early in the morning for me. Ah, there it is. Figured I'd record this before work. I was supposed to do it last night, but I got really tired after work. And the viewer was asking again this morning, so I won't leave him hanging. Right, so we got Easter Island. And you might notice that these ley lines kind of go with the ocean lines a little bit. You can see a lot of different lines all emanating from Easter Island. That's one clue. So it goes through the Nazca lines in Peru, kind of crisscrosses in parallel with the Amazon River entering the ocean, hits the Great Pyramid in Egypt, a few places in India and whatnot, and the biggest one in Cambodia that it goes over. Let's type it in. Angkor. Ah, there it is. I always forget how to spell Angkor Wat. Yeah, so it goes over Angkor Wat. There it is, Angkor Wat. It's actually this temple area here I was looking at earlier this week, but yeah, there's Angkor Wat that it goes over. And lastly, it wraps up with, Easter Island. So the critics of this line say, hey, you're just picking random ancient sites and there's lots of them that it doesn't go over. Another thing critics should mention is that this line isn't perfectly straight. The purpose of a ley line is actually supposed to be perfectly straight. So how the revelations of the pyramids justify the line not being perfectly straight is they say that it's 100 miles wide, or kilometers roughly. And I think that's a little bit of a misnomer. I think that the reason it's not perfectly straight is because the Earth's shape has changed slightly since this line was aligned. But yeah, so people will say it's just random sites, but whatever, it's like these ones are actually pretty major sites, so that's one thing to discredit the critics. And another one is because there's more than one line. Let's bring up all the ancient lines. So if you take this line pattern and you look at like modern sites for today, like Freemasons, how they aligned it, what they did is they made it go through specific places like Washington, D.C. It goes through the obelisk. If anyone's heard the obelisk, it's like a giant statue similar to the ones in Egypt. So you can see it goes through there. And the other one, obelisk, that it goes through is the major one in Toronto. So anyone's heard of the CN Tower, it's basically a giant obelisk. So it passes through that one. And for the next line, it goes through Ottawa's Peace Tower. Ottawa also erected a giant obelisk type thing, except we call it the Peace Tower. So it also goes through that. There it is, the Peace Tower. You can see it going right over the top. So when you take this line pattern and you fill it all in, it's a little bit difficult to figure out for me. Like when I first started working on this, I just had, who is it, Julie Ryder was showing me how there's another line that does the West Coast, and it goes through stuff like the Montana megaliths, what is it, the Medicine Wheel near in Canada. What else does it go? It also goes through the Nazca lines. And then what happened was, I started to get a general pattern for these ley lines. I started to notice, hey, we're starting to get a pattern. So what I did is I finished in the pattern and tried to figure out what is like the basis of this pattern and how close is it to like what it is today and what it used to be in the ancient times. So let's bring that up. So as you can see here, let's get rid of that other green line. Now let's put up the blue ones as well. Right, so what you can see here is you start getting today's modern pattern, and in purple is the ancient site pattern. And I started to realize that these maps are very similar, but in slightly shifted. Like it almost needs to be like twisted a little bit for it to fit into place. Like you can see here where all the towers and stuff line up, it's slightly off for what the regular one is. And if people are wondering like why mine is slightly different compared to this one, you can see like this blue triangle is basically this purple triangle, except it's just shifted slightly. And who knows, maybe the Freemasons are onto something and there's a reason why they've designed theirs to go with the ancient sites and why it's slightly shifted over. If anyone has any clues as to why it's slightly shifted, I'd be great to listen to it. And if anyone's wondering what this blue or green and purple line is here, that's the September 11th attack line. Happens to be a great line of sacrifice. And if anyone's wondering why it's like a line of sacrifice and how that connects to this, I'll just give a quick show it here. If you go to Mars, this is also the September 11th line, just plotted onto Mars instead of the Earth, and it goes through their largest volcanoes. So you can start to see these energy lines are not only are they shaping like ancient sacrifices, you can see here that they do shape the globe's land masses. Like you can see South America is outlined pretty good in blue. Another one to demonstrate how well it shapes is the Australia landmass. You can see that it's shaped well. You can see that it does India and Africa, Southeast Asia, even there quite a bit. Oh yeah, and then this one. And then some people might say like arbitrarily, where am I picking these points from? This one is like your standard equator. The other ones, let's show them here. View, grid. You can see it lines up with the tropic lines. So the tropic line, Arctic Circle line. So a lot of these lines are actually just the divider points that standard globes use already. But the only difference is, instead of being like smaller each line, I made every line like the equator. And what the equator is a great circle. And the reason they call it a great circle is it goes fully around the globe. It doesn't like take any diversions. It's like a full circle right around the globe. So that's why like most of these lines, they bend off, is because they're going smaller. They don't make a full circle. So mine does make a full circle. And the measurements you can use to make these, let's see if I got it here. No, I don't. But anyways, yeah, there's a device that the Freemason Sir Isaac Newton made, and you can measure the tropic lines, equators, and all these lines with the device he made. Or what you could do too, I figured out another way, is you just take the globe and you divide it evenly. Like first you cut it in half, then you cut it in quarters, and then you cut it like that. So it's kind of ironic that the tropic lines that measure the equinox points and all that, they're really just divider points of where the Earth is divided perfectly in sections. So if anyone's wondering, did I make up any of these lines? It's like, no, actually most of these, if not all of them, are just established measuring points. The only thing I did is I changed them to great circles. Right, so if anyone's wanting some extra evidence to prove that these lines are actually partially related to how the Earth is formed, we got this one here. You can see how it's all these line like orb points. Let me show them. The Perry-Reese map was another map that showed these orb points. And yeah, I'm trying to work on getting the orb points in that pattern in the future. I know this is the red line pattern, which I don't often show because I don't have it complete on mine yet, but yeah, so these orb points I believe are gravity wells, because you can tell in most regions they push everything away. Sort of like how a black hole doesn't really pull everything into it like they originally thought, but it causes matter to orbit around them. So they actually don't pull in, they sort of push the matter out and cause it to orbit around. So that's why you see the Gulf of Mexico, it pushed all the land away. The Great Lakes pushed the land away. The Hudson Bay pushed the land away. North Pole pushed the land away. You can see how that's like a common theme with all these orb points. That's how I was thinking the Freemason map kind of does make more sense, because if you shift it a little bit, it lines up more with the Great Lakes, lines up more with that. But to prove that the way I have it, like the modern measurements, the way the Earth is today, we'll take a look at this one. All right, let's see. What I have is an impact crater database from NASA or whatever major space agency, or what is it, a scientific agency. So you can see this is one of the biggest craters, and they were trying to say that this was a crater for the longest time, but because it's in red, it means that they discovered that it's a large basin, but it's not a meteor. So they're trying to figure out what created it. And then these other blue ones, they think are meteors suspected, but I doubt it if it's surrounded by a giant one that isn't. So anyways, you can sort of get an idea that, yeah, these orb points are creating like giant basins. Here's the biggest evidence for it yet. Right, so that's just a little summary of the ley line map and how mine works. And why mine's slightly different from your traditional ley line maps is mine's actually mapped with the modern measurements of today using Google Earth Pro. So you can tell it is slightly different than your traditional ancient one, but not really off by much. Like a lot of cases it lines up perfectly, in other places it's slightly shifted. So yeah, then again, if anyone's got any ideas of why the old one's slightly shifted, I'd be glad to hear it. Alright, so anyways, let's get on to the question from the viewer today. Well, bitter sprechen Sie langsam. No, I'm half German, so I know a couple German words, not many. Let's see here. And I really know no history about Germany, so what I like to do is spin Europe onto its side and show it like this. So we kind of can look at the German one. And what we'll do too is we'll put on all the lines, well, we'll put on two layers, the yellow, blue, so we can start to see some of the German ley lines. It goes near Nuremberg, which I thought is interesting, because isn't that place that had that ancient UFO sightings and some famous trials? What else do we got? Oh yeah, the Swiss Alps. You can see mountain lines. They usually line up, usually a lot, with the ley line pattern. A lot of people believe that. Goes through Bremen, goes through Kiel, Copenhagen. Well, I guess Copenhagen's not Germany. And yeah, a lot of borders end up lining up with it, I think because of the mountain ranges. So if you have mountain ranges becoming borders over a certain amount of time, that's why it would line up. Oh, we got a like already. Thanks, everyone. Now, I'll bring the chat on the screen if anyone wants to start chatting, but I should really cover some more of this. Alright, so that's those ones. What I was going to do next? Oh yeah, the ancient one. So I'll bring up the ancient lines so people can see how those ones go through. Looks like this point here might be something special. I don't know if anyone knows Germany, if that region there. Yeah, so one thing you got to, oh, Baden is on the line. Baden's actually the city or town in Canada that my family our farm was in for quite a few years. It's neat that it's also in Germany. Offenburg, well, I guess it's named after the German one. Yeah, so any place that you got where these purple lines, like the ancient lines, line up on cities, you almost have to be careful, because that's usually the sacrifice line. And not to say that like some government agency or people behind closed doors are planning sacrifices, but you got to think like all the September 11th attacks took place on these lines, and it goes back to the ancient tradition of volcanoes being a spot of sacrifice. And why? Because they're on the sacrifice lines. Now, if people want to know a little bit more history about that, just let me know in the chat. Now, basically, if anyone doesn't know, our entire Earth is based on a whole bunch of different sacrifices, like sacrifice that the ancient giants did. And if you're wondering which giants, the biggest giant of all, let's move all of these for a sec. Let's see, do we have it here? Now let's bring it up here, images. Alright, so the biggest one of all is the giant's head, or the elephant. You can see the ley line point actually is his eye. And you can see his trunk, how it wraps down, how it's got the holder for his trunk. And his body was broken off from up here. It's actually the gulf of the stream coming from the Mediterranean. Happens to be the elephant's neck, and it's still pouring out blood, the warm water into the ocean. The Amazon River is actually the tears from the elephant still going down into the ocean. Poor guy. Now you got to appreciate the elephant sacrifice for us. And then we also got North America, it makes up Turtle Island. It's kind of a shame. I have a whole slide to show this and didn't have it ready. Let's see if we can find it. Now what it is First Nations history, thanks to Jacob. He was one of the guys that shared on YouTube all these legends. And really appreciate it because most of them I'd never heard of before, so it was cool that he shared that. Yeah, so that's how the elephant used to look like, the turtle. And it's actually a worldwide history about this. Hindu, Chinese, people in the Americas. It's like, yeah, all of them talked about the giants and their sacrifice and how that's how our Earth and all the planets, probably the entire universe, is based on a series of sacrifices. So yeah, let me copy this and put it in so I can have it for next time. Yeah, so I won't get into too much more information about the ley line maps in Germany. Let's go back and show Germany a little bit more. Just I didn't really cover it too much in this. But I figured I would just give everyone a breakdown. Hey Euros, how's it going? Yeah, let's bring up the chat here. No, don't worry, I plan to play some Entropia soon, and I heard about the big updates to space. Want to check those out. No, I'm actually switching over to the winter season at work soon, so I'll be having more time to be doing live streaming. Gravity wells, ley lines, Entropia. We're going to be doing a lot more. Yeah, and if you ever want to come on the show and talk about Entropia, just let me know. We can organize a chat through the Discord or through Skype. Got it working for both. Alright, so let's look more at the German ley lines. We'll bring up the ancient ones. Wonder which one that is. Ooh, is that the good one? Yeah, there's one that connects. Yeah, that's the September 11th line for shit's sake. So you really got to watch that line. See, it starts at a sacrificial offering table in Mexico. And it goes through all the September 11th attack sites, like the Pentagon, the, the World Trade Center, and the Boston Airport, where all that occurred. You can see it's slightly off, but man, when it's running that close in parallel, I would call it the one. And this is also the line that goes through Mars, like those giant volcanoes. So yeah, that's the sacrifice line. It goes just under Luxembourg. Thankfully, yeah, I'd be careful. I don't know if any big sacrifice stuff has happened in Baden or Tübingen or Rüligen, or however you say these places. But I'd be very careful if I lived on this line. Because, man, it's one of those lines where all the people... Have you ever heard the theory about the Matrix? How everyone's hooked up into batteries? Oh, he's from Slovenia. And that line goes right across it. Oh, does it? Let's see, Slovenia. Oh, there it is. Yeah, let's check out where the Slovenia places are. So if there's ever been any bad, like horrible catastrophes where People are like wondering why it happened. It's a bit of a mystery. No, you're lucky there's not many major cities on it. So I guess this city here, what is it, Mecha? I'd be careful there. Like, man, I bet you there's been some horrible sacrifice ritual stuff that's happened there in the past. What other ones? And now one of the guests I had on the show, they were talking about like how like a lot of the weird like school shootings and stuff in the States, they end up happening on this line. So it's like a lot of people are wondering, is it people behind closed doors that are organizing it, or is it really just the will of the universe and how it happens to power it? That's what we were talking about just briefly there. Like, you know, the Matrix, they showed all the people that were hooked up to those like tanks and like they were like batteries powering the Matrix. Well, I think it is the universe and the earth and everything still needs sacrifice energy. And since we're not throwing people into volcanoes, what happens is a lot of these big cities, when people are dying on the line, it's still powering it as a sacrifice. So even if the people aren't sacrificed on purpose, it's like it still could be part of it. Yeah, imagine your house was like right under it. I'd be like, oh fuck. Could be like haunted. Alright, let's zoom out a bit. I think we're already out of Slovenia, are we? Yeah, there's Slovenia. So all the places on that one, I would definitely be careful. Oh man, Sofia's right on it too. Fuck. No, that's one of my friends lives in Sofia. Hot babe from Bulgaria. Actually, I got a few hot babe friends in Bulgaria. Same city, but yeah, Sofia, I worry about that place. Alright, so let's look more at the German ones. I don't know if each line is a sacrifice line, because I'm pretty sure some of them are just like other types of lines. Like there's one line that goes across the gold, or the gold line I like to call it, where all the best gold mines in the world are all on it. So that's kind of weird. So hopefully if you see these other lines in Germany, like the ones that going near Bremen, Kiel, hopefully these ones aren't sacrifice lines too, although they could be. Alright, so Euros wants to know, can I quickly move the line back through Slovenia, right across the border with Croatia? Sure. Slovenia. Oh yeah, there's Croatia there. I've got some friends that live there in Zagreb. I forget how to say it. Man, I'd like to visit Croatia one day just for the nice beaches, eh? What fucking nice beaches there are there. Alright, so yeah, it looks like this border town here of, what is it, Rogaska, Slastania, if that's had a lot of battles before in the past, I wouldn't be surprised. This place here, Metzgen. Man, oh man. Yeah, such a nice area there. I like seeing places that aren't like super densely populated. Or this place here, Gornj, Brezno. I'd be really careful there. Venik, I'd be careful. Well, I guess you should be careful anywhere, but yeah, there's some really weird stuff that happens on these sacrifice lines. No, even the First Nations people, they talk about the sacrifice line power, and yeah, they built like ancient stone stuff on it. What else? Oh yeah, they did the sacrifices on the volcanoes that are on the line. No, that's the rumor, like when I watched that, the video, is that this line is actually 100 miles wide, or kilometers, whatever. But I was thinking that seems a little bit excessive. Because really, if you draw the line 100 miles wide, that covers almost like huge amounts of land, right? I'd like to pinpoint the line down to like within a few feet wide rather than hundreds of miles or whatever. But you could see, yeah, if you did make the line like wider, it would take in that city, even these ones. Now, if people are wondering about the earthquakes in these lines, let's bring it up slightly. I know, say, Croatia's had a bit of earthquakes, and The one that I'm really worried about, not so much, well, Sofia as well, but Romania's got a bad spot for earthquakes. I'm surprised it hasn't gone off more recently. No, I think Germany's lucky, eh? Germany doesn't get hit bad by the earthquakes. I don't see too many on here. Although they got Cheb Basin. What the hell is that? Oh, that's the volcanoes. Yeah, so that's why often you get the volcanoes on the lines. So that would be a big sacrifice line then too. The volcanoes right on it. Yeah, so the German viewers that wanted to see more about the ley lines and volcanoes, that's one. Jeb Basin. If I had to guess, there's been a lot of sacrifices at that volcano. Yeah, it's interesting, all the volcanoes in Germany. Never knew. Alright, so yeah, I guess for our viewer here, we'll check out Slovenia's one. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so no earthquakes or volcanoes in Slovenia. Well, there's probably earthquakes, but I don't know what's with this map, man. Google used to have like such an accurate website or file for all the earthquakes, and then they took it away. And then some other companies added like their own files, but none of them are as accurate as the Google one used to be. Oh, you can see the Serbia earthquake. It landed almost directly on the sacrifice line. Yeah, so if anyone's looking at like different earthquake regions, you can see that where the lines cross, especially that one in Turkey there, that's the sacrifice line. Holy. So yeah, I'd be real careful if I lived in that part of Turkey. Yeah, you can see Sofia, or Sophie. Yeah, Sofia, it's got that line going through. I know they've had a lot of big earthquakes in the history. It doesn't even show up on this file. It's fucked up. But yeah, anyways, Romania, definitely where the two orange or yellow lines cross. This region here, bad earthquakes. And I think they had another earthquake recently. What was it, near the border of Greece or something? I guess they couldn't border Greece. Ukraine? No. I think it was near this place. Oh yeah, it was maybe Hungary. So I think this region here had an earthquake recently. So when it went off, I was like, holy shit, it's working its way closer and closer to the big one. Yeah, you can see that this spot in Romania, they've had some 7.5s. So I'd be very careful there. Oh, a huge earthquake struck that place. How do I say it? Petrogina? Oh, no kidding. I think I remember mentioning that one. Petrogina. Oh yeah, that's the one I was asking if my friends in Croatia felt it, and they said that they did a little, but not much because they were far from it. I don't know. Oh, there. Zoom out a bit. Yeah, it's weird. I miss the old Google file. Even like schools complained about it because schools were using the line to like teach their classes or the earthquake file. And then one day they tell the class, let's look at the earthquakes, and then Google took it away. It's like, you sons of bitches, man. Why would you take the earthquake file away? It almost makes me wonder if they're trying to hide the pattern of earthquakes. Because yeah, there were some pretty significant patterns. Like one of the big quakes that's coming to North America was like in the past we had the, the New Madrid earthquake, and it's one that threatens the entire US, and they used to have it on here, like the pattern showing where it's going to occur, and then they took it away. So I was like, you fuckers, man. Why do you got to go and do that? So anyways, where these two X marks, like Oklahoma and Tennessee, they showed the old historical quakes, and it was like a bullseye of just constant earthquakes around the X and then around the X. And that's the one where when this one goes in the US, all the nuclear power plants in the US are like built on the same fault line. And they showed, because it's more of like a solid granite rock here, even though it went off here, it was shaking places up in Toronto. So that's how big, like when the earthquake goes on the East Coast, we're looking at every nuclear power plant all melting down. So when that does occur, it's going to be like one of the biggest disasters in US history. Hopefully not in our lifetimes, but Not to be too like dramatic, but no, that's why I was kind of a little bit annoyed with that. I'm like, man, we should really move all the nuclear reactors, especially stockpiling all the waste on the fault line. That's like pretty much like a worst case scenario. Like, why? I know why they did it, because of the water being close, but still, some of those fucking environmentalists, they should get their act together and be like, hey, let's move the nuclear waste off the fucking fault line, for God's sakes. Like, we're just like basically setting up a fucking disaster. But oh well, hopefully it doesn't happen in our lifetime. We'll let our future generations deal with that problem. Yeah, and the Bay of Biscay in France, if anyone's heard of it, that's why the bay is shaped where it is and how it is, because the gravity well split it. Oh, and if anyone else wants to check out how the North Pole has changed due to the gravity wells, we'll finish with that. Where we got the image files. Oh, I had it open already. Now what I did is I started to notice that the North Pole, where you got the two spots meeting, it sort of looked like it should be two of these, right? Let me turn the blue off so it's easier to see. Yeah, you can see like how the landmass ends on the triangle and the landmass ends on the triangle. I was like, shit, is this how the triangle used to be on this side? You can see that it even like splits how the shape of the North Pole water is. So I found some scientific documents and stuff that supported. This is actually how the old North Pole used to look like. It used to, like, all that Greenland and all that stuff used to make another land bridge. So a long, long time ago, there used to be a land bridge that not only collected Asia to North America, but it also connected Europe to North America. Possibly explaining why some of the ancient legends in North America talk about like tribes of red-haired giants that basically lived in North America for, I don't know, tens of thousands of years. So I know it kind of like throws a monkey wrench into the idea that, hey, we arrived in North America first, so that this is our land because people have been migrating here for so long. But then there's also the theory that natives have been here all along and that they actually never did migrate. I kind of lean towards that theory more because we're really just starting to understand DNA. So it's like to say because some DNA says that native people are similar to people in Asia, it really doesn't mean they migrated from there. They could have actually been here the whole time. So just like to clarify that. All right, so yeah, and if anyone wonders how this map shows the South Pole, I didn't even notice, but this is why we get the ice ages, is the South Pole used to be one giant continent. Let's see if I got it here. Sort of the whole yin-yang idea. So a long, long time ago, you could even see the lines are still in the bottom of the ocean, is that the South Pole used to be one giant one. So Zealandia, Australia, and Antarctica, they were all squished together and they made one super giant pole. So I don't know what year it was, probably millions, could be billions. At one point, the South Pole broke in half, and when it did, the pole started wandering back and forth, back and forth. So that's why we get the wandering pole, sort of like how the Earth wobbles a bit. So yeah, the pole actually goes back and forth, and that's why during the Ice Age, fucking New Zealand and everything got hit hard by the Ice Age. It's because the pole went from here to there, and then it goes back. It actually makes a figure 8 pattern. So that's why on Antarctica they find all these palm trees and stuff. It's like when the Ice Age cycle happens, or even bigger cycles, the Antarctica goes tropical and New Zealand and Australia goes frozen. So I'm thinking that's why like you don't find like tens of thousands, well maybe the Aboriginal people have records that far, but that's why the people that have lived here have gone through like huge mass extinctions. It's because, yeah, when the ice comes, kills everyone. That's always wondered, like, why was Asia so densely populated and this region not densely populated? I figured it out. It's because, yeah, this place kept getting destroyed over and over again. So that's one reason why that Asia was more densely populated than here. You can even see the giant crack where the Earth's crust is. Oh yeah, that's another one that I should show. If people want to see the evidence that this map is actually legit, is you bring up the, what is it, the plate lines. Ah, there it is, plate boundaries. So you can see a lot of these like line up directly on it. You can even see like the shape of where the plate line splits is roughly the same pattern, like giant Ys that connect across. You can see how some of them bounce right to the different orb points. So yeah, it's a little bit more evidence for the map actually being legit. Yeah, some of the lines, like they almost like go right with the crust. Now, skeptics will say that it's all just coincidence, and I think, yeah, it could be, but the more and more evidence I put together for it, it starts to lean a little bit more away from the skeptics or point of view. Oh yeah, and if anyone wants to see something funny too, speaking of Mars, let's bring up Mars and we'll show it with Earth. I don't know if anyone's even noticed this, but check right where, yeah, there's the sacrifice line. Let's see if we can bring it up. Yeah, so there's that sacrifice line we talk about. It goes through Mars's biggest volcanoes. And look at this. This one is the funniest. I don't know why NASA, well, I probably got an idea why NASA doesn't show it. Maybe they didn't notice, but I doubt it. Is like the continents on Mars and Earth. The way we got these giant ridges going to the central, what is it, equator pole, you can see that it lines up on Mars too, right? Like even this giant Amazon River lines up with where one of the rivers would have been on Mars if you would have added water like millions of years ago or whatever. And look, even the shape of the continent there, that matches the shape of South America. So it's weird how it's like if this gravity well pattern really is helping to shape planets, we should see evidence of it, like similarities on other planets, and we do. It's fucked up. Like even this like big giant, what is it, volcano or crater, whatever that is, there's a heat anomaly like right here in the bottom of the, what is it, the Gulf of Mexico. So it lines up with that. So I always thought that was pretty fascinating. Oh yeah, and if people wanted to see other planet correlations, we got the sun itself. The sun, the magnetic field patterns, they map up on it quite good. What's another good one? Oh yeah, Saturn. Saturn's got it pretty good. It's like the line patterns map out where the storms and all the different ring color points are. What's another good one? Oh yeah, Europa, the planet with all the ice. All the major cracks on the ice surface, they tend to line up with the major ley line points. What's another good one? Oh yeah, just to show the scientific. This is the scientific view of how they think the North Pole used to look like. So you can compare it to my ley line map version, and it is very similar. The only thing is I think they crushed it in a little bit too much. They should have it spaced out a little bit more and then have Greenland connecting. I think if they made it connect like that on either side, then they would have been like, what the fuck? Why is it so like so symmetrical? They haven't really figured out the symmetry of the Earth yet, so. Oh yeah, and then we'll show off the sacred tree. Oh yeah, and then the ancient sight line, because we were talking about it. That other line that goes across the west coast, that's the one that goes through these ones. It goes through that temple, and they drew it as like a straight line. But if you put it on the globe, that's that line there. Then this line here is the one that connects all the pyramids. And then this one on the east coast is the one that actually connects the ancient sites in Canada. So you can see how it's like so similar to like my map, but just slightly shifted, right? So that's where people will say that my ley line map isn't the same as like a traditional ley line map. No, but it's very similar. What else do we got? Oh yeah, the Venus. Venus is kind of cool. A lot of I don't even know what these points are. Maybe just craters and stuff, but a lot of them line up. Oh yeah, for the ancient stuff, we should show this. The sacred tree. You can see this cube pattern from like Norse mythology and stuff. You do find the cube pattern throughout the globe in certain points. I bet you it's in many points. So yeah, that's where the ancient sacred tree comes from. Yeah, that's what kind of freaks me out a little bit, is the ancient people were so accurate with these like ley line maps and stuff. And how the hell did they get all this information? Some people think it's the shamans got it for them, others aliens, who knows. If I had to guess, probably the shamans. So here's the oldest like ley line map or orb map that I've got, that I based mine on. Let's show it. We'll put on the blue as well. Where are you, blue? There you are. Yeah, so you can see that this orb point here would have been this one. And then the line that connects like, what is it? The Mediterranean coming out of there. It does connect all the way to South America, just like on my map. But you see, you can tell that like Perry Reese was trying to do this on a flat map, so it was very more difficult, but a lot of our orb points are very similar. Did he get the Africa one? Yeah, I think a lot of, like, he doesn't have the Africa one on there, but yeah, it would connect to another orb right there. So he had the Africa one pretty good. And if anyone hasn't heard of Perry Reese, he was like this old, what do they call them, like the old sailors in the old days. And his uncle raised him on a ship, so he grew up on ships. And with this map technology or gravity well research, some people say it causes like supernatural abilities and stuff. I don't have any, but Perry Reese was like, I think he was, how old was he? Something like in his 90s when he died, and he was still at war on sea. So people are like, what the hell? The average lifespan in Perry Reese's lifetime was like 40 years old. So he outlived double the lifespan, and he was still at battle when he was like an old man. The only way he died is he was actually captured in a battle and beheaded. So he didn't actually die of old age. Who knows how long he would have actually lived for. If I had to guess, he probably would have been into his hundreds. So yeah, that's just a little bit of research. Hopefully I answered all the questions about Germany. And yeah, if anyone's got more places or ley line connections they want to see in the future, just let me know. I'll try to do more shows. Been busy with work a lot through the summer and stuff, but hopefully I'll get more time off in the winter. It really depends how much snow we get, because I'm going to be shoveling snow for a living for the winter too. So yeah, so some big adventures. And yeah, if anyone's from other countries, they want me to check out their lines more, or if anyone has any other files they want me to add, like there are different like layers that you can put on Google. So if anyone's got some cool layers they want me to check out, I've got lots more that I didn't cover, but I don't want to make this episode super long because I got to get ready for work. And we're already over a half hour long, so it's a bit long of an episode. Alright, so holy shit, 3 viewers and 2 likes. Thanks everyone. So what I'll do is I'll share this episode onto the Ley Lines page in response to that guy's question. So thanks again to him. I guess I should bring his question up here. Give him a shout out, because yeah, he was the one who wanted this episode done. So I'll give him a quick shout out. Oh yeah, and a big shout out to Euros and everyone else who's watching in the chat. Let's see. Here it is. So it was, let's bring him up on the screen. Sorry if I share anyone else's information from Facebook. I guess Facebook's pretty public, so. Anyways, it was Thor's question. He wanted to, where is it? Good morning. Do you have a whole map or picture? I'm searching for the ley lines in Germany. Thank you very much. Oh, I guess I should move this over. Sorry, my big head's right in the way and the fucking map won't. There it is. Oh, now the chat's in the way. So let's move the chat. There we go. Alright, so Thor Orgenburgengung. Sorry, my German is terrible, or whatever language that is. So he wanted to see the German ley lines. I said sure after work today. And he asked again, so 4 hours ago. So that's why I made the video. I'm like, hey, he still really wants to see it. Let's check it out. And someone else was asking about the ley lines in Norway, so that's one we checked out. It's neat that the Norway region, they've got like a big gravity well off the coast of Norway, so it's one of the reasons why they get, well, I shouldn't say bad weather, but a lot of clouds in that region all pool around the gravity wells. Oh yeah, that reminds me, let's check out the weather here before we go. Sometimes the weather and these gravity well patterns make neat patterns, so let's check it out. You never know until you look it up. Alright, so let's see. Yeah, that's the one off Norway, and you can see how it's like spinning around it. Sort of a little shifted a little, but yeah, definitely a big spin around the Norway one. Let's see. The one red layer that I have on the map, it's the one that really tends to get the most spins around it. Yeah, so that one's got some spins around it. What's kind of neat is when the Gulf of Mexico has like really big hurricanes going, if you check the South Pole gravity wells, you'll see them like really intensify too, where the spin around each gravity well point will have shitloads of clouds. What is it? Asia, it usually tends to have a good pattern. Quite a bit around that one. Yeah, this one gets a lot of spin around it. Now I noticed that too, a lot of when the cloud patterns go around the equator, they'll make like little breaks right around each of the gravity well points. Sort of like the gravity wells don't really pull things into them, but they do get shit to orbit around them. Yeah, so if, I'm pretty sure in the future meteorologists will use these gravity well maps to better predict the weather. It's kind of funny that they don't have it. It's like, I don't know, it's not really that complex of a map to make. It's really just great circle lines dividing the planet evenly. There's nothing special about it. I know some people think that you have to do like some channeling or something to come up with the ley lines or the orb points, but no, it's just the actual planet divided evenly over and over and over again. Yeah, let's show the last division layer, the red lines, but dear God, it's a really like, you start really dividing it in half and in half and half. It gets so many lines to draw, and I haven't drawn these ones good yet. Yeah, let's take off the weather, because yeah, it's really, what a mess. Yeah, but if anyone wants to see it from a distance, the red line pattern starts to look pretty cool. It must have been wild in the old days when Piri Reis was making this map, because man, can you imagine trying to draw this on like a flat fucking map without Google? Like Google has definitely helped me a lot. So that's when I was doing the red line one. I was like, hey, should I get the red lines to actually sync up with everything? Or have them end up like making one of these red line patterns like he shows here? So that's what I've been experimenting with the red lines. Should I have them point like that and end up like that, or have them just all end up in a central point? So if anyone's good at drawing on Google and they want to take this on, I could definitely use a lot of help, because I suck at drawing on Google. So if someone was actually good at it, they would probably be able to finish the map like 10 times faster than me, even 100 times faster. Yeah, and if anyone's like can't afford to like take the time, just let me know. Maybe I could even hire someone to draw it on Google if they're really that good on it. Because I was thinking one day I'd like to get a tattoo of not the red, because the red's too much, but the blue and yellow. I think it would make a pretty cool tattoo. So I was thinking maybe in the future if I can like get someone to finish the map like 100%, no mistakes on it, then I would go for a tattoo of it. I think that'd be pretty wild. Right, so I guess we'll wrap it up, because yeah, we're at the almost hour mark. So thanks again, everyone. Let's just give a shout out to my sponsors and patrons and affiliate links. Alright, we'll skip the silly sponsor. Anyway, so Patreon, Suki, Dan, Jim, Ray, Travis, and everyone on Patreon, really appreciate it. Let's go to the affiliate links. Alright, so Patreon, we did that one. Society 6, finishing quick is my specialty. It's a saying, it comes on t-shirts, bed sheets, both popular with the ladies. Hideout TV pays you to watch videos. Swagbucks will pay you to shop. GameKit will pay you to try video games. And Free Bitcoin, it's a wallet system for crypto. Also got BetFury linked in there. And just beware that crypto is very risky, and they also have casinos, so if you're a gambling addict, stay clear. The only thing that's really great about these two wallets, the Free Bitcoin and BetFury, is they offer loot boxes that you can open for free. Obviously, they got tiny bits of crypto, but you can still put it in the wallets and start up a balance without even depositing. So we also got the Virtual Mate sex machine. It's great for lockdowns. It's for adults and men only, but if ladies need a sex machine, they know who to call. And $10 off on a 150 or more purchase, thanks to the people at Virtual Mate. You just got to put in the coupon code LYNGBS. That's LYNBSN. It's not lying bullshit. It's actually a real product. They did even ship me one. The only thing I had to do was give them money. No, and then the Virtual Mate, it gets mixed reviews. Some people hate it, and other people love it way too much. All right, let's go to the fire screen. We'll skip the fire screen. So we'll just go to my exit. Yeah, let's go to my exit screen. So thanks everyone for watching, and yeah, hopefully see you again on the next Ley Line show. Bye for now. Later. Thanks, Euros.